48-hour AI copyright heist?
I'll never forget the morning, May 9th, Friday. The most brazen power move I've seen in this whole AI copyright thing from the US Copyright Office. And then 24 hours after this report that stood up for creators' rights drops, they fire the head of the Copyright Office. I'm shocked, not by the tech power play, but the fact that first the US Copyright Office did it, and then the President's office did it to the US Copyright Office. There were two power plays. I'm Declan Dunn, and this is the AI Optimist. And the US Copyright Office is oddly a voice of reason in a dynamic game of power, money, and control. Hey, there's nothing small about AI. Because if this report was allowed to stand, there's a whole lot of questions and lawsuits going on that would be answered. There's a whole lot of other people who would take this report and go to court. This would really challenge everything in the US about AI, from everyone from ChatGPT to the smallest developer. What's your training data? So today I'm breaking down what we know about this report, what we've learned, some of the conjecture on both sides, and who did the AI copyright heist. Was it A, big tech, who took all the content in the first place and never asked permission? Was it B, government, either the US Copyright Office trying to seize control by releasing this report before they get fired? Or was it the US government just following protocol of opening up new people to do new things for a new administration? And whether you're a creator whose work is being used without permission or a business building on AI, this story isn't about politics, it's about money, billions of dollars of it. And with the release of this report early, and then 24 hours yanking out the author who wrote it, creators, this favored you. And AI developers, if this report just goes away, this favors you. How did this US Copyright Office, part 3 of a report not due to January 2026, see the light of day in May 2025? Part 1 came out in July 2024 about digital replicas, deepfakes, stopping that because a lot of celebrities and politicos and things were challenged. That came out. Then in January 2025, copyrightability. Can we copyright what content we create in AI? Can an AI-generated work get copyright? These kind of issues. And now we're waiting maybe for a year, but certainly not 3 months. And do remember, the Copyright Office in the US is not a legal institution. It's part of the legislative branch, Congress. Doesn't have anything to do with creating a law or saying this is real. These are guidelines, recommendations that the government and the courts take very seriously. Last defense by AI, it's human learning. We learn AI like humans. It's easy. Humans every day taking copyrightable content, transform it in their brains and create output. Papers, paintings, photos, we're just like that. Nobody's going and suing the students. And the Copyright Office found that argument was not really strong. For one, a student doesn't learn that way with hundreds and billions of pieces of data. The scope and the scale is way beyond humans. And this is an argument I've heard at TechCrunch disrupt. This is a party line of AI. The most devastating for AI companies is market dilution. This report says that the market for creative services, the creative industries, will be diluted. And if you've looked at previous pods I've done, that industry is focused on tremendous growth in the next 10 years. They say this would impact this tremendously. Whether or not it's true, that's an economic impact. Listen to what the report says about where a model can produce similar outputs and what that means.
Where a model can produce substantially similar outputs that directly substitute for works in the training data, it can lead to lost sales. Even where a model's outputs are not substantially similar to any specific copyrighted work, they can dilute the market for work similar to those found in its training data, including by generating material stylistically similar to those works.
What we've learned is the US Copyright Office said what it really comes down to with AI and whether creators should be compensated is the purpose of the AI model, and there are many different ones. And some should be able to use copyright content, others should not. Economic and social impact. They seriously took this and looked at it and said it will impact creators. This is probably one of the biggest takeaways of a report many of you may not even see. It's likely to get buried, but if you look at this, that is a really stunning statement. Especially considering if we look at this as an AI heist of copyright, sort of looks like big tech is in line. And if the government's involved, well, I mean, that's way too deep a rabbit hole. We don't go here because who knows? What's really important is what's happening now as we're in limbo, because the report does exist and it does make a lot of sense. So let's see how that would impact people. Creators, windfall here. If this report has time to take root, every publisher, music label, and organization would be awash in court cases. They would be throwing this around so much, and that's not necessarily a good outcome, but they're waiting because they don't have anything to go in on except futuristic projections. This makes it pretty concrete. Think about it. If you have to license books, music, and art for training, the economics of AI completely change. The entire model is built on free content. That, I've said, is a false premise of this. They didn't have the right or permission, and neither side seems to even be able to deal with it on that end of the AI copyright heist. It happened, now what do we do? And AI is saying, well, that's good for us. And the Copyright Office is saying, not so fast. Copyright Office says, yes, creators, you deserve compensation for certain types of AI models, many of the dominant ones we know. So with this document out, suddenly, in this little Saturday, May 10th, they fire Shira Perlmutter, the Register of the U.S. Copyright, the head of the U.S. Copyright Office. Was this because of the leak? Was this just because they had previously fired the head of the Library of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden, on Thursday night? And the Library of Congress manages or runs, responsible for, the U.S. Copyright Office. So definitely it could be logical there. Nobody knows, but it certainly was within 24 hours. That report didn't make people happy. And if somebody's putting out a report like that, they want it to get out there before they're gone, because given the pattern of the current U.S. administration, pretty much the purge happens and you move on. So when the men on the chessboard get up and tell you where to go, and you just had this U.S. copyright report, and your mind is starting to glow, go ask Shira. I think she'll know. Now, purge, who knows? I mean, this is a purge of an old administration in a way, and that happens every time. But on Thursday, the Library of Congress librarian, Dr. Carla Hayden, was fired, and the reasons given were DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. For those of you not in U.S. politics, it's a reason to get fired from the previous administration, as we're told. And also because they put in books that were inappropriate for children, though the Library of Congress is one of the biggest libraries in the world with collections all over the place, and a ton of it is not suitable for children. So that happened. Okay, it's Library of Congress. Then the report comes out on the morning right after that, May 9th. And so a lot of people who are looking at this, journalists are looking into it and finding some sources, and everyone's at guesswork, but it certainly seems like the writing's on the wall. Shira Perlmutter's not going to last if her boss doesn't last. That's how these things work. And this report, which is 3 months old, was actually told this is not a completed version, but pretty close to it. I forgot what their exact language was, but it's like pretty much done except for the citations and finishing up. I doubt that they actually felt like that, but also they had a chance to get this out before getting fired. And at least that put it out in the public eye. So then she gets fired. Now, here we are. And by the time this podcast gets out, they may remove it, but it really doesn't matter. People have downloaded it and it's had an impact. In a way, I wouldn't call it a leak, but it certainly was, wow, we're getting out of here. We want this to matter. And Representative Joe Morell of New York actually says it has a lot to do with AI, and he blames it on Elon Musk. Surprise, surprise. He called it, and I'll read his quote, a brazen, unprecedented power grab with no legal basis. It is surely no coincidence he acted less than a day after she refused to rubber stamp Elon Musk's efforts to mine troves of copyrighted works to train AI models. I've looked in the link he had to the last part of the document. I haven't seen where that's actually validated or what they know, so that's sort of conjecture. I mean, what a Game of Thrones around the copyright. Because if you understand why copyright is not some boring old concept, this is what's going to impact that data that went in. If this report was allowed to stand, or is allowed to stand, that influence on court cases, decisions, regulations, Congress, laws would be immense. Because it actually says we need to look at compensating creators and we need to respect creative industries because this will have an economic impact. Or will they just fire her, put out a new document, and move on? Up to you, but creators, if you really wanted an opening, I told you this year would be the year. I had no idea what happened this fast. Surprise in this country, but it's moving. And if this report just goes and we all forget it, this is a major statement saying creators deserve compensation. AI developers, you should be listening. Hey, I'm the AI optimist and I'm a realist. I don't know what political games are going on. I don't play that Game of Thrones. I do play in the AI field, but even there, it's a billionaire, trillionaire kind of Game of Thrones. And us on the bottom, the big AI heist, was it big tech taking that content in the first place and putting it in? I can see that argument. Was it government regulation taking back this document, if that proves to be true? We don't know that yet, but if any pattern is sure, I don't think that document's going to last or hold much power. So will it just be diffused, even with its rationale to make clear legal sense? Or is it something else buried in that document that might give us a hint of where the AI heist might be coming from? The US Copyright Office?
In those areas where remaining gaps are unlikely to be filled, alternative approaches such as extended collective licensing should be considered to address any market failure.
The conclusion that the market should take care of it, that licensing and extended collective licensing. Ouch. A great report, standing up for creators in a great way, then leave it up to the market. And if the market is that market is run by big tech. So big tech, even if this report was to change everything as it pretends to do, if it's relying on the market model and AI licensing, it's a game of volume, of fame, of elitism. I'm sure not that little players doing podcasts like me aren't going to be getting a lot of money, and even those in the middle. You got to be really big. And who else is going to be able to afford content in that scenario? Only companies with billions and billions of dollars. There's no way the smaller players can play. So what they did was open up the whole game and then take it away right at the end with this music. Licensing happens, musicians stop making money. This kind of licensing happens, the market is proven to decimate the very threatened creative market that the US Copyright Office seeks to protect. And if that document is quashed, buried, bamboozled, this isn't the end of the story. And even if that document, which is so hopeful for creators, gets out there, we gotta deal with the elephant in the room. This document, May 9th, gave me hope, and then I read it and really went into it. We just have to make sure that just relying on free market principles and capitalism, okay, don't we have a government for a reason to help? Maybe not equal the playing field, but not play that monopoly we're playing right now with big tech. Because without a doubt, if the AI licensing model is left up, as the US Copyright Office says, to the market, big players will gain, big tech will gain, and we'll all get left behind. And I thought I was supposed to be the AI optimist. Huh. Yeah, what? Like I learned long ago. Optimism? The game is being played. Step up. And if you're a creator, this is an opening.